Okay, so let's just get this done because I have to say I really amaze myself in the worst possible way sometimes. Because I actually already did this video yesterday. It turned out 40 minutes long with me 15 minutes just whining about why my plan fell through and talking in way too much detail about the sickness that caused all of that. So I will try to keep this as short as possible today, but at least so you know what's going on. So I don't think I have to get into why there was so little content over the last month. I've already did this in like 3 videos. So I was in the US for a business trip for 1 month, so that's why there wasn't much going on and I wanted to take a little bit of a break. But the plan was to go back to Germany on July 1st and then be a week here, and I wanted to test and review as much as possible during that week. And also for the second month that I will be in the US, I wanted to take my gear with me and take some review device with me so I can make a few videos there so the channel won't die off completely. But none of that has really happened since you haven't seen any videos this week. Why? Well, on my way back, on my flight back, I actually I got a sickness. And I'm not going into all the details, so just so you know what's going on. I can't fly back to the US, which I should have been. I should have been already a day in the US again, but my doctor prohibited me to fly because I have too much pressure on both ears, and this one is pretty much deaf completely, and this one isn't really any better, so I hear myself extremely muffled and I pretty much don't hear anything. So pressure regulation in the plane, you need that, and my ears don't do that. So this already, I can be happy that it didn't burst, so I can't fly. My nose is completely clogged up, I can't almost breathe properly, and swallowing and talking is very hard for me, so that's why there was no content this week. That's why I'm not in the US, and that's why there won't be too much content for the 2 weeks that I'm here, just because I don't really feel well. So we've covered that. And like 30 minutes shorter than it was the first time, so you get it. But the issue is, since I can't hear and since I couldn't do all of that stuff, most of my review stuff also fell through, because as you can see here maybe on the table, I've planned a lot of audio stuff besides the phones that will come. And I couldn't really do that because that's already the issue. So I'm not quite sure how I will cover this, but okay, so here's the plan. What should have come in the next weeks? Okay. Here I have the Brainwaves B400, cost about $200. I've already tried these when I could still hear, and I can say these are very nice. If they're worth 200s, I'll let you know in the review, but they're definitely better, even though also bigger and have a harder time fitting in my ear than the B200 that I've already reviewed. The next thing, that was a very fortunate thing that I got to get in the US from Monoprice, thanks to DMS for the contact. Monoprice. These are the Monolith M1060C. I already reviewed and I own the 1060, and just as a teaser, which I will give you for all the devices as a little bit of a preview before the reviews come up, these I bought. I asked Monoprice for a little bit of a discount since this is a review unit, even though it was a new one, and I got it and I will keep it. I also asked DMS. He actually asked Z for the back cover so I can make this open back, and I will also replace the pads. But I can already tell you, for $330 they're absolutely worth the money. Of course in Germany and such you will have to import them, which makes them a little bit more expensive, but they sound absolutely great, and I could still test them when I could hear them. Now, the other two that I got were the M600 and M650. Those cost $130, these cost $150, but what I expected, especially from the pics at first, that these are the same size, but as you can already see, they are clearly not. And what I also thought, at least that's what some people told people up front in the videos, that these are supposed to be kind of direct competitors to the Sennheiser HD series, so the M600 to the HD600 and the M650 to the HD650. I personally don't see that, not in terms of design, not at all, but also not really in terms of sound, because the M600, they are $130 headphones that sound and feel like $130 headphones. I think they're a little bit too small, not the biggest fan of that, but they do a nice job, but not nearly a job, for example, like the M1060C, which are $300 headphones that sound like $500 or $600 headphones. Now the M650, they are already quite a big step above, because first of all, bigger, my ear fits in very nicely, the comfort is good, and the build quality is pretty much the same as the 600s, but these also sound better. There is kind of more like resolution. Okay, I can't really say too much about these, because I've used these for like half an hour or so. I wasn't really so impressed, that's why I stopped and used these more, like 4 or 5 hours on one session. And they sound a lot better, but they don't really sound like HD600s or HD650s, but I'll get into that at some later point. What I also got in terms of headphones, actually one that I didn't even want to try is Beyerdynamic Evento Wireless. Now, the press agency, actually my favorite press agency, which just has the best review stuff, asked me if I wanted to review the DT240 and also have one for giveaway and the Evento Wireless. I told them, give me the DT240 because I already wanted to review them back when they were released, but I just couldn't get some. Now the Evento, I actually said, no, thanks for the offer, but I'm gonna pass because I don't like on-ears. But what happened actually 2 days later, by accident, I stumbled upon a review, and the first Pro that I saw, just quickly grazing through it, great comfort. And I thought, I don't know, great comfort might be, but I don't like over-ears. I mean on-ears. I just don't like something pushing on my ears. But I said, okay, ask the press agency, there is still the offer available, I will take them just so I know. Because sound-wise, they should be great and everything else. And I can tell you this much. I'm actually convinced now. And this is the first on-ear, and I've actually used them yesterday, even though I didn't really hear much, but I just in terms of comfort have to say these are legit. Because even though the padding isn't thick, it's super soft, but they managed for some reason something that I did not see on any on-ear yet. They don't push, even though they're not super secure because the clamping force isn't too hard, which is the good thing. That's why they are not comfortable. But I had them on yesterday for like 3 or 4 hours. And it sounded good from that little bit that I could hear, not that I can hear any highs or so, but comfortable. They have aptX HD already, 30 hours of battery life, touch controls, very nice comfort. They are not super cheap, but these are proper headphones and then made wireless, and not like a wireless headphone that just is wireless and then they put on some headphones on so you can have some sound. So I have high hopes for these. Now the DT240, maybe you can already see that, not the biggest pads, and I thought, yeah, these are semi over ears, even though I have to say these actually might turn out very good because I've tried them yesterday for a few minutes on my ears, and you have to kind of squeeze your ear underneath it, your earlobes, but then it actually doesn't seem weird, because similar to, for example, the Sony A1 that I reviewed recently, the M2, even though they actually fit your ear in, they touched over around the ear, but they were kind of comfortable. These are very similar, so not fully over ear, but once you get your ear in, it actually doesn't bother me, and they feel very lightweight, they feel very secure, and the fit is good. Sound, I've tried them just for a few minutes with limited capabilities, but they sound actually very different to compared to the Evento, but actually not that bad. I can't judge it. Like I said, review will be coming. The next thing, something that I should have actually already reviewed months ago. I have this for more than half a year already here. Not that I can keep it, but I think they kind of forgot that I have it, because iFi changed their contact, or my contact changed, and he said this is the new guy who's now for you, and I think he simply doesn't know I have these still yet. This is the iFi Nano, the IDSD LE. Costs I think $130. I'm not 100% sure, but I can really recommend the LE version. I have also the black version, the BL version, which is it BL? The black one. And that one I can definitely recommend way more. It's like $80 more, which is noticeably more, but that's a proper headphone amp, a portable one. This one, I think, for most decent headphones is good enough, but for all the little bit more demanding ones, it just wasn't loud enough for me, even though sound was good. But the black edition costs more, but is way better. That one is able to drive pretty much everything. Why I can't just show that, because I have it already packed for the trip that was supposed to happen, which didn't. So this one, maybe not so much, but the review is coming, and the black one, absolutely yes. Now, what else? In terms of sound, I actually have something here that I did not expect to like at all, because like I said, my favorite press agency also asked me if I wanted to review a power bank, a 5000 milliamp hour one, and I thought, yeah, not really, but okay, I'm gonna make you the favor and just take it. Now, when I got this, I thought, wow, that's a little bit big for a 5000 milliamp hour battery, if I compare that this 20,000 one is so much smaller. But there is something that comes along with it. This is just a power bank. Where this, on the other hand, as you can see with the controls, which I wasn't aware of at the beginning, is also a speaker. I did not really know that because I made no research beforehand, and I thought, okay, power bank with speaker. Is that really such a great combo? Is it so helpful and useful? I have to say, this was the only thing that I've used for my 1 month in the US with my laptop, with my iPad, and it is so much better than I would have expected. Not just in terms of actual use, because the good thing is this is not Bluetooth. That's why you need an aux cable, but therefore you don't have any delay. Of course, you can charge your phone. If it's maybe able to zoom, you can see 5 volt, 2.1 amps. So it's not the fastest charging, but it works out fine. But this thing is more than loud enough. Way louder than I expected, and it sounds really decent. Of course, it doesn't have too much bass, but for all the normal stuff that you usually do with your iPad or tablet in general and your laptop or something else, nice vocal range, nice full sound. And what I actually did, for example, I gave this for a few days to my brother that used it with the laptop hooked up to the PC in the hotel, or with the TV in the hotel, and he came back to me the next day and said, I need something like this as well, because this, believe it or not, actually sounded better than the 43-inch TV that was in the hotel. Way clearer, way better vocal range, nice full sound. And this is handy. So this is what I'm going to take back once I'm in the US again. And I did not use the 2 Bluetooth speakers that I had, even though they, in theory, could sound better, louder. The great thing is about here also the battery life. This pretty much holds forever, because the 5000 milliamp hour battery here doesn't really take much to power the speaker, and it holds and holds and holds and holds. And I thought it's pretty much on that, but yeah, sometimes it will run, but it holds way longer. Now, would have this been great with a Bluetooth functionality as well? I guess so, but then it wouldn't cost $35 anymore. It would maybe be bigger. It wouldn't maybe sound so good, and the battery life definitely wouldn't be what it is. So this is way better than I expected. What I also have here, as you can see, is the Cambridge Audio Yo-Yo M. This is a stereo Bluetooth speaker, the second one I have downstairs. Review should have been already up, but I just didn't get to it. I have some trouble with the stereo pairing, because sometimes it cuts in and out at first until it kind of settles. Really nice sound, not really cheap, but I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit of an next part. Now, for all those asking if I wanted to go to the US and make videos, my Xiaomi Mi Air 12 won't be good enough if I want to cut videos and such. And I usually have my Elgato capture card thing running, which is what I'm using here as well, which I can't use there, but I pretty much can't do videos without it anymore. So instead of having my internal cards, my HD 60 Pros and the 4K Pro, that for some reason doesn't really want to work right now anymore, so I had to switch back to my 60. I asked a fellow YouTuber that I know has an Elgato Cam Link, which does pretty much the same, just via USB. I will hook that up to the laptop that I got from Lenovo, because I asked them for something a little bit more powerful than what I have for a long-term period test, and this is the Lenovo Yoga 730. So pretty much quite new quad-core, but the U quad-core 4K display. I have to actually say, just as a teaser for the review already, this one is too expensive. It starts with $800, and 1080p version available, 8 gigs of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage, and all of that with the same shell for $800. Absolutely nice, because it is a really nice laptop. It's a Yoga, so you can rotate it all the way. There is a pen support and everything, so actually quite a lot of value. Now, my version 4K with a 48-hour watt-hour battery, which the other one has as well, but with 16 gigs of RAM with the i7 is not necessary. The i7, especially since it gets warmer than the i5, will throttle more, so you won't really have more power in reality. I will maybe clock this down to keep a more consistent i5 level. With 4K, just the battery life isn't good enough. I get I'm hovering at around 4 or 5 hours right now. Need a few more days to see, but that's what the long-term review is there for. But it will definitely do the job, and the 4K is definitely nice. That's the thing, but the value here is not quite so good, because for 1,400 euros, which this one costs, I can already get something like a MacBook X Pro, which is actually something that I'm thinking about buying maybe in the US, because it's way cheaper there. Even though if I would have known until the 8th of June, the MacBook X Pro was available for $1,200, which it is in the US for the lower end model, which is more than enough that I would need. With $300 on Amazon of a coupon, that would have been a steal. Now that it's just not available anymore. Okay, let's get to the things that you are maybe a little bit more interested in, and get that out of the way. The phones that I have here for review in the future. Now, Before I'm actually going into these and the Mi 8 that I'm gonna get in the US, let's talk about the ones that I did not review that I could have already reviewed if I was here. HTC U12 Plus review didn't happen because I just didn't get it in time, so because I was away. But I won't review it, I think, because from the fellow YouTubers I already got what I needed to know, that I'm not that interested anymore, even though I was a lot. The problem is the display is once again quite dim. Not quite sure about the quality, but the battery life seems to be a big issue here. The YouTuber that I know was very disappointed with the battery life, and I simply, even though it would be enough for me, I'm sure of that, I don't want to have a phone in 2018 where I have to think about if it's good enough or not for a heavy day of use. Absolutely not. The other one that I'm very interested though in is the LG G7. It's also not perfect, especially the speaker is great maybe on a table but not so much in your hands, but it should be still a very good one. But that one I'm super excited for, and once I'm back, I'm definitely gonna get one of these for sure, absolute sure. But the ones that I have here, now the Xiaomi Mi 8 I will get in the US, so I can't really tell much more about that. But what I have here is the OnePlus 6. I finally got it. I wanted to make a long-term review in the US, but since all of that has changed 2 weeks back, since I will be able to travel maybe in at best 2 weeks, so all of my plans that I had shifted towards 2 weeks towards the back. So maybe I will review this before I'm actually gone. Then I have the BQ Aquaris X and X, the X2 and the X2 Pro. So this is the X2, as you can see, plastic bag, and this is the X2 Pro. And it seems like my light is flickering a little bit. Okay, a little bit of a weird thing. Now, the difference between these two: Snapdragon 636, Snapdragon 660, and the battery should be, I think, the same size, but not the camera. So main differences will be, for the difference of about 80 euros at the moment, better camera, I guess, here, and the better SoC. Of course, the back is something that you have to know. I think the plastic works really great. It's super grippy and it still feels premium. This one, glass, if that's really more premium for you, if some other differences are there. Now, the same things that they have in common are... oh, sorry. I had so many bad coffee attacks. 5.65 inch LTPS IPS display, and I have to say it's a gorgeous one. It gets super bright due to being smaller than a normal like 6-inch phone. It's also a little bit more dense, and it's super crisp. Absolute amazing displays. I can't really tell much more since I got them yesterday, but this one around 400, this one around 320 euros. They could fall a little bit more in price, but I'm not quite sure about that yet. Seem really nice. Now the OnePlus 6, I've guessed by now you've obviously seen reviews already, so I'm just gonna keep this short because I don't really don't want to make a proper preview or something like that. So what I'm gonna tell you is that in terms of design, this is my absolute favorite phone at the moment. It feels incredibly well made, not quite as nice and super premium like the Xiaomi Mi Mix 2S, but amazing. The back, as you can see, the matte glass doesn't really attract a lot of fingerprints. Feels so luxurious, great in-hand feel, not quite as thin as the 5T anymore. The fingerprint reader is also not quite as good anymore since it's not round. It has a little bit more trouble if I don't put my whole finger on it, so you have to kind of center it better for it to work. Then it's just about as good, but I've tried on my 5T. It allows for a little bit more reliability towards the edges. The rest though, absolutely great. The display is still more than just good enough. It's still super satisfying, nice calibration and so on. The speaker is a big letdown for me. Not that I can hear it now, but I've actually turned on the flashlight. It sounds noticeably, not quite sure if significantly weaker than on the 5T. It's not nearly as loud and it just doesn't quite sound as full. I was super pleased with the 5T speaker. This one is maybe at best just good enough. Performance is absolutely top. It's a flagship after all, but it's not on a Sony Xperia XZ2 level or something like that. A little bit consistency is missing because I especially noticed if I go in the YouTube and sometimes scroll or some other apps, if I scroll a little bit slower, there is some occasional little stuttering lag, but otherwise it's super fast, still super smooth, and it is a legit one of the best flagship phones in terms of performance, but it's not really any better than the other 845 phones. Battery life so far seems really good after the 3 or 4 days that I've used it. Can't really judge it much more than that. Software I like a lot. Camera I didn't try because I didn't feel like going out since I was staying the whole week just in my bed suffering. Okay, so here's my gist for the OnePlus 6. It's not what the 5T was back then, because the 5T was a phenomenal phone for its price at its time, because it was ahead of some more other phones. Now this one, S9, you can get for this price already. And okay, if you just look at the official prices, it's cheap. But this phone won't get any cheaper. OnePlus is pretty much drop that center. They have their price and it just doesn't change unless you maybe get it from GearBest or some other sources. I actually had a chance to get one from a import shop for free, but I kind of missed that since I didn't know that YouTube messages still exist. So I will have to return this, but I'm not gonna buy one for myself. I don't think it's enough of an upgrade from my 5T. I will just stick with my 5T until maybe the 6T arrives. It's a super great phone. If you don't have a last gen phone with an 835, you can absolutely go for it. That's what I can tell you already now. But if you have an 835, I don't think it's enough, because I think performance-wise it's a nice step up, and overall it is better, just not for the speaker, but it's not worth the upgrade if you make some loss for money. Now I've kept this actually down to like half the length that it was in the original one, but there are a few more things that I have actually that I'm gonna review that you maybe can see here already. This is the HyperX, I'm not quite sure, Elite RGB keyboard. I've already had the normal one with the red switches, but with just red lighting. Now this one has just RGB lighting and blue switches. I absolutely love it. It's not super cheap at around 150, 160 euros, but I just love the blue switches, and now having, as you can see, RGB, absolutely top. Love it. What I also have is also from HyperX, the new Pulsefire Surge gaming mouse. The only problem that I have here with is not the buttons, because this is revision 2 where they fixed the buttons. There was an issue with the buttons, but the new ones, they fixed that. The problem is what I have, this is an symmetrical mouse for left and right handers. Since I'm a lefty, I need something like that, but it does not have two side buttons on both sides. It only has it on the left side, which is helpful for right-handed people, and I can use it without any issues. But I would absolutely wish for there to be two more buttons on the right side, because then I think it would be my new daily driver. Because what it is, and actually something that I did not review yet, even though I have it for like 6 or 7 months here, is the Razer Lancet RGB wireless mouse. The thing is though, it has buttons on the right and left side. It has actually two buttons here, and in terms of ergonomics, in terms of functionality, and in terms of everything else, it's great. The sensor is a little bit weird. It's not quite as precise as, for example, the HyperX one is, and there is something weird about Razer sensors. But I've used pretty much Razer my whole life, because they offer the buttons that I need. I just need more buttons. I'm just so used to it, and I'm okay with the little bit of a compromise with the sensor not being what it should be. Now this one, wireless with RGB, maybe has 1.5 days of battery life. What I did though is I turned the lighting completely off, and then I get like 3 or 4 days, which is worth the compromise, because I don't really care about the lighting. It's nice to have, but I'm not sacrificing like 50-60% of battery life. So this review should be coming as well. What's also coming, that then we are pretty much done, is a review of, oh no, I will actually get, I just got a hold of that, the Razer Huntsman. I'm not quite sure if I get the Elite or the normal version, so RGB or not RGB. Should get that maybe next week or so. The optomechanical switch keyboard. I would really wish for the RGB version, but since I will get it in the Pelican case, what I was told from the press agency, or from Razer, I think one YouTuber I saw that one containing the normal version. Normal version means no lighting at all. I want lighting, so in case that's not the RGB version that I'm getting, I will just stick with my HyperX. If the Elite or the Huntsman Elite is what I'm getting, then this could become my new keyboard. What I'm also having here are 5 keyboards from Cherry MX, or Cherry, the MX 3.0. I have all 5 switches, so black, the other one I think was white, I'm not 100% sure, and then brown, blue, and red. And I wanted to make a comparison of all the different kind of Cherry MX switches. The good thing about that one is that it's this half height, so the flat keys. I prefer these so much more, because what I also have here, and what I've used for the last 7-8 months as my daily driver, is the Razer Ornata, the chroma. I just love the small one. Yes, it's not mechanical, but I'm okay with that. And I think we will see way more mechanical keyboards with half switch, with half sized caps or half height caps, because this one is still the normal full size caps on the HyperX, and I can get used to that, but I just personally prefer the smaller caps. So the first one who sends me a flat RGB keyboard mechanical with blue switches has won me over. Otherwise I will stick with this. Now the Ornata for typing I still prefer a little bit more, but I also like the blue switches. So for me at the moment, if I would have to decide, it's between the HyperX with blue switches or the Ornata Chroma. The Huntsman I can't judge. If it's the Elite version, it could be, because that one is supposed to be very close to the blue switches, but be faster, so, and less resistance, so that could be the new great one. Other than that, I'm not quite sure what else I should talk about that I didn't already talk about. So you know what's going on with the channel. Channel is not going anywhere, because there was actually someone saying me, because I didn't post much in the last few weeks, and said, why are you killing off the channel? And even though you have so many people, you didn't inform anyone. People deserve to know what's going on. But I told him I did make at least 3 videos explaining in detail why there is not much content coming. He just didn't bother to watch it, so that's not my issue. I explained what's going on today, and that's where I'm gonna leave it. I hope you like this video. I mean, it's at least a video. There won't be coming much over the next 1 or 2 weeks, just because it's a pain in the ass for me to do anything besides just lying in bed, because my throat hurts. I have a bad cough all the time. I can't hear anything, so I can't test anything, and just being in front of the camera is actually way more intense for me, because I'm also sweating, because I'm just not in a good condition. The biggest issue though would be if this continues to be a thing for more than a few weeks more, because I've had this last time already December 2017, and it took 3 weeks until I could hear again properly, which would be an issue. Okay, don't want to bore you too much with that. I did that already in the video that I deleted, so I hope it was still okay for you. If you have any further questions or something like that, just comments. I read them again. Okay, bye.